The FIA's handling of the Belgian Grand Prix sparked massive backlash from both fans and drivers, with Max Verstappen visibly furious over the way Sunday's event was managed. While rain had been anticipated, prompting most teams to adjust their setups accordingly, the FIA's decisions left everyone regretting their strategies. But the bigger question is, has the FIA gone too far with its safety-first approach? And if so, what needs to change moving forward? One of the most frustrating aspects of today's Belgian Grand Prix was the race director's management of the event. Due to severe weather conditions, drivers completed the formation lap behind the safety car, only to be directed into the pit lane. The heavy downpour made visibility virtually impossible, and yet this was no surprise. Teams had prepared for this scenario, adjusting rear wings, downforce levels, and setups to handle exactly these kinds of wet conditions. So what did the FIA do when it truly mattered? They squandered every opportunity to give us an entertaining race by waiting for the rain to completely stop before allowing any real racing to begin. There was a window during that excruciating hour-and-a-half delay when the race could have started. With the safety car leading the way and a convoy of F1 cars behind it, much of the water could have been cleared from the track. Instead, fans were left waiting endlessly, only to see the FIA's overcautious stance betray the very teams that had prepared specifically for these wet conditions. It's one thing to joke about how rarely wet tires are used in F1, with many calling them the most wasted innovation in the sport. But today proved a deeper point. In conditions like these, with the right tires designed to disperse water, racing was possible, even through torrential rain. Of course, no one wants to see another tragic incident like those of Anthony Hubert in 2019 or Delano van 't Hoff in 2023. Safety must remain paramount. But rain is also what makes this sport thrilling. It's rain that has shaped iconic moments, decided championships, and separated the true greats from the rest. Think about it, what if we never had the unforgettable 2024 Imola Grand Prix, or the legendary title-deciding race at this very track in 2008? There are countless examples where rain has elevated F1 to another level of drama and skill. Yet, it feels like the FIA is slowly stripping that magic away. Even Max Verstappen was openly critical of the decisions made after the first lap, saying, "Well, the start procedure being suspended is a bit silly. I mean, you should just run a few laps. Jesus, they are way too cautious. Now the heavy rain is coming and then it's going to be a 3-hour delay." We understand the FIA's fear. With recent fatalities still fresh in memory, the last thing anyone wants is another tragedy at Spa under treacherous conditions. But difficult does not mean impossible. Drivers were on intermediate tires. Track clearing equipment was in action. And still, during that entire 90-minute wait, there were clear windows where cars could have circulated behind the safety car, gradually improving conditions. The most painful part, the race hadn't even technically started yet. The 3-hour countdown wasn't ticking down, meaning even more time was wasted. Meanwhile, teams that had prepared meticulously for rain, like Red Bull, were effectively penalized. Max Verstappen himself switched engines and redesigned his rear wing to handle wet conditions. His race engineer, Simon, even admitted that had they known the FIA would wait for dry conditions, they'd have chosen a completely different setup. This raises serious questions about the FIA's current approach. What exactly are their thresholds? Where is the line? After all, we are talking about the pinnacle of motorsport, where elite drivers and teams are prepared to tackle extreme conditions. The cars are wide enough to displace water, and as we saw today, the track dried remarkably quickly once the rain stopped. Time and again, world champions have begged to race in challenging conditions, and history has shown that some of the sport's greatest moments happen during wet weather battles. And when the rain truly becomes too much, that's why wet tires exist, to give drivers the grip and control they need. The governing body has put in a lot of effort to encourage teams to use wet tires, but every attempt has fallen flat, pun intended, due to their inefficiency. The situation at Spa has truly given us a lot to think about. How should teams approach a weekend with such unpredictable and ever-changing conditions? After all, wet tires are designed to clear water from the track with incredible efficiency while improving visibility for the drivers behind. Yet, the sad reality is that grip wasn't even the main issue delaying the race. It was visibility. And I genuinely believe that if the FIA had embraced a bit more of a racing mindset, simply put the wet tires on, tested the track, checked the visibility and grip, and let the drivers race, we might have avoided much of the frustration that unfolded. But beyond the immediate chaos, there's another hidden threat looming: the future of Spa itself. If weather continues to play such a pivotal role, will this be used as an excuse to remove the Belgian Grand Prix from the calendar altogether? The pressure is already mounting. Financial and organizational strains are beginning to show, and I believe the latest missteps from the race directors may be too much for Spa's future to bear. And let's be real. If a legendary circuit like Spa disappears, the ratings and overall allure of Formula One will take a massive hit. We've all seen it in Formula 2. It can be pouring rain at Turn 1 while Turn 5 is bathed in sunshine, creating perfect conditions for slick tires. And this is where the sport comes alive. It's where teams get tactical, where strategy becomes art, and where drivers compare their raw talent and bravery head-to-head. You don't have to go full throttle through Eau Rouge when it's drenched in water, but with the right wet tires, you could still create a masterpiece and propel yourself forward. This is what Formula One is all about. It's not just about who goes fastest at full throttle, but who is the smartest driver when the conditions are stacked against them. Unsurprisingly, the loudest voices of criticism have come from the greats: Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso. These legends have openly voiced their frustration over the FIA's overcautious stance in wet conditions. Now, I'm not suggesting that these decisions will push them into retirement. Of course, that's far-fetched. But it does raise serious concerns. The race directors aren't even listening to driver feedback. They didn't give the grid a chance to weigh in after a few laps behind the safety car. That lack of communication is a massive problem, and you can bet that this issue will be a hot topic in future discussions between the drivers and the FIA. So what's the solution? Number 1, we need better wet weather tires. Relying on intermediates is not enough, especially when the name itself screams in-between conditions. Intermediates are perfect when parts of the track are wet while others are drying, but Spa was a fully soaked circuit. I know most F1 fans already understand tire dynamics, but clearly the FIA doesn't seem ready to have this conversation. Right now, the entire show feels limited to conditions where the rain is just light enough for intermediates, which are nowhere near as effective as full wets in extreme conditions like we saw at Spa. This problem must be addressed fast. Secondly, the race directors and the FIA need to remember one thing: this is motorsport. Drivers know the risks every single time they get behind the wheel. No one can predict which race might be their last, but they still show up to compete. So if they're willing to race, the least the FIA can do is let them experience the track conditions before making sweeping decisions to delay or suspend racing. No one is asking for recklessness or risking lives just for entertainment. But let's be honest, the rainfall at Spa could have been handled with fewer delays and smarter use of the full wet tires. With all of this in mind, what do you think about the scandal and the questionable decisions made by the race directors at Spa? And more importantly, do you believe the FIA will change their approach anytime soon, especially after the intense backlash from fans around the world? Let us know in the comments below. And once you've shared your thoughts, don't forget to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.